December 1900. Far off the coast of Scotland, beyond the reach of most ships and hidden among the crashing waves of the North Atlantic, stands a small group of islands known as the Flannan Isles. Harsh, remote, unforgiving. For centuries, sailors viewed these islands with unease. Ancient legends claimed strange forces inhabited the rocky landscape. Shepherds who visited the islands were said to speak in whispers. Some refused to stay overnight. Others claimed the place felt wrong, empty, as though unseen eyes were watching from the cliffs. Whether those stories held any truth is impossible to know. But in December of 1900, something happened on the largest of the islands that would become one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history. 3 men vanished without a trace. No bodies, no witnesses, no explanation. More than a century later, nobody knows exactly what happened. The story begins with the construction of a lighthouse. The seas surrounding the Flannan Isles were notoriously dangerous. Powerful storms swept across the Atlantic. Jagged rocks lurked just beneath the waves. Countless ships had narrowly avoided disaster. To improve safety, authorities decided a lighthouse was needed. Construction was difficult. Every stone and supply had to be transported across rough seas. Workers battled strong winds and isolation. Eventually, the lighthouse was completed. Standing high above the ocean, its powerful beam warned passing vessels of the dangers below. To keep the light operating, 3 lighthouse keepers would live on the island at any given time. Their duties were simple: maintain the light, monitor the weather, ensure passing ships remained safe. It was lonely work. Weeks could pass without visitors. Storms often cut the island off from the mainland entirely. Yet for experienced lighthouse keepers, isolation was part of the job. In December of 1900, the 3 men assigned to the lighthouse were James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald McArthur. All 3 were experienced. They understood the dangers of the sea. They understood the responsibility placed upon them. Nothing about their assignment appeared unusual. Yet strange events soon began to unfold. On December 15th, a passing ship reportedly noticed something concerning. The lighthouse light was not operating. Under normal circumstances, this should never happen. The light served as a critical warning system for vessels traveling through dangerous waters. Yet despite the report, severe weather prevented an immediate investigation. Days passed. Storms continued to batter the region. The mystery deepened. Finally, on December 26th, a relief vessel known as the Hesperus arrived at the island. Its crew expected a routine exchange of personnel and supplies. Instead, they were greeted by silence. As the ship approached, something immediately felt wrong. No one stood waiting on the landing platform. No welcoming signal appeared. No movement could be seen near the lighthouse. The captain sounded the ship's horn. Nothing. Again, silence. Eventually, a relief keeper named Joseph Moore volunteered to go ashore. As he climbed the steep path toward the lighthouse, a growing sense of unease settled over him. The island felt deserted, empty, abandoned. When Moore reached the lighthouse, the situation became even stranger. The main entrance was closed. Inside, everything appeared orderly. The beds had been made. The kitchen showed signs of recent use. A meal appeared partially prepared. Yet there was no sign of the 3 keepers. They were simply gone. Moore searched every room. Nothing. No note. No explanation. No indication of where the men had gone. Then investigators noticed several unusual details. One set of waterproof clothing was missing. 2 remained inside. This suggested that at least one keeper had gone outside properly dressed. Yet another appeared to have left without full protective gear. For experienced lighthouse keepers, this made little sense, particularly during stormy weather. Something unusual had happened. The search quickly expanded across the island. Investigators examined pathways, buildings, cliffs, every location where the men might have gone. Yet no trace could be found. It was as though the 3 keepers had vanished into thin air. Eventually, attention turned toward the western landing platform. There, evidence of storm damage became apparent. Equipment storage boxes had been smashed, ropes were scattered, iron railings had been bent, massive waves had clearly struck the area with tremendous force. The discovery offered a possible explanation. Perhaps the men had been swept into the sea. Yet even this theory raised difficult questions. Why would all 3 men be together at the same location? Lighthouse procedures generally required one keeper to remain behind. Why would an experienced crew expose themselves to such danger during a storm? Once again, certainty remained out of reach. As investigators examined lighthouse records, another curious detail emerged. According to reports that later circulated, weather log entries appeared unusual. One keeper allegedly wrote of severe winds. Another reportedly described one of the men as unusually quiet. Most strangely, a note suggested Donald McArthur had been crying. For those who knew him, this seemed almost impossible. McArthur was known as a tough and experienced sailor, not a man easily frightened. Yet these reports suggested something had deeply disturbed the crew. Then came the final entry, a brief note stating, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." The words have become famous, but there is one problem. Many historians now question whether these entries ever existed at all. Some researchers believe the dramatic logbook stories were added years later. Others argue they may have been misunderstood or exaggerated. Whatever the truth, they helped transform an already mysterious disappearance into legend. As news of the disappearance spread across Scotland, investigators struggled to understand what had happened. 3 experienced lighthouse keepers had vanished from one of the most isolated locations in the country. No bodies had been recovered. No witnesses had come forward. No clear evidence pointed toward a definitive answer. The ocean had offered only silence. Yet authorities still needed an explanation. Families demanded answers. Newspapers demanded answers. The public demanded answers. Unfortunately, the island provided very few clues. Every theory seemed to contain weaknesses. Every explanation raised new questions. And so, the mystery began. The first and most widely accepted theory was simple: a tragic accident. Investigators believed the 3 men may have been inspecting storm damage near the western landing platform. The area had clearly suffered significant impact from the sea. Heavy equipment had been displaced. Storage boxes had been damaged. Iron railings showed signs of tremendous force. The Atlantic Ocean is capable of incredible violence. Waves exceeding 30 meters have been recorded in similar conditions. A single unexpected wave could easily sweep a person from the cliffs. If one keeper had been caught by a wave, the other 2 may have rushed forward to help. In doing so, they too could have been dragged into the sea. Within moments, all 3 men could have disappeared. It was a plausible explanation. Yet some investigators remained unconvinced. Experienced lighthouse keepers understood the dangers of rough seas. They knew better than most how unpredictable the ocean could be. Why would all 3 expose themselves simultaneously? Why abandon established safety procedures? Once again, uncertainty remained. As the years passed, alternative theories emerged. Some suggested the men became involved in a violent dispute. Isolated together for long periods, tensions may have escalated. An argument, a fight, a tragic accident, followed by panic. Yet there was no evidence supporting such a scenario. The lighthouse showed no signs of violence, no blood, no damage, no indication that a confrontation had taken place. The theory attracted attention but offered little substance. Others proposed a more unusual possibility. What if one man had gone mad? Extreme isolation can affect human psychology. Weeks spent surrounded by endless ocean, powerful storms, and loneliness can place tremendous strain on the mind. Perhaps one keeper suffered a breakdown. Perhaps events spiraled out of control. Yet once again, investigators found no evidence supporting the claim. The theory remained speculation. Then came the stories, the legends, the tales that transformed the Flannan Isles from a historical mystery into something far stranger. For centuries, local folklore had surrounded the islands. Some fishermen believed supernatural forces inhabited the cliffs. Others spoke of ghostly figures seen walking near the shoreline. Ancient traditions suggested the islands possessed an unusual atmosphere, a feeling difficult to explain, an uncomfortable sense of being watched. Whether these stories were based on genuine experiences or simple superstition is impossible to know. Yet after the disappearance, such legends flourished. People began suggesting extraordinary explanations. Ghosts, spirits, curses, mysterious entities emerging from the sea. The imagination of the public filled the gaps left by the investigation. And where facts were absent, mystery grew stronger. One particularly famous legend claimed the keepers had been taken by enormous seabirds. Another suggested strange lights had appeared above the island shortly before the disappearance. Stories circulated of phantom ships passing through the fog. Some claimed the men had encountered something beyond human understanding. These tales captured attention. Newspapers eagerly repeated them. Readers were fascinated. Yet despite their popularity, none of these explanations possessed credible evidence. They belonged to folklore rather than fact. Still, they helped ensure the mystery would survive for generations. As modern researchers revisited the case, attention increasingly returned to the environment itself. The Flannan Isles are among the most dangerous locations in the British Isles. Towering cliffs plunge directly into violent seas. Storms arrive suddenly. Waves crash against the rocks with extraordinary force. Under certain conditions, water can surge far higher than most people would expect. Some scientists believe a rare sequence of giant waves may explain everything. One keeper notices damage. He investigates. Another follows. A third joins them. Then a powerful wave strikes. The men are swept away before they have time to react. The ocean erases almost every trace. No bodies are recovered. No witnesses exist. Only silence remains. While not every question is answered, many experts consider this the most likely explanation. Nature itself may have been responsible. Yet despite scientific theories, the mystery refuses to disappear. More than 100 years later, people continue asking the same questions. Why were all three men together? Why was one set of waterproof clothing left behind? What exactly happened during those final hours? Did the sea claim them? Or is there something about the story we still do not understand? These unanswered questions are the reason the case continues to fascinate researchers and storytellers alike. The disappearance sits in a strange place between history and legend.